Woodstock Art Glass. We teach classes in lamp working, which is what this is, and we do mosaic classes. And I think starting next year, early next year, we're going to start building out a pottery studio in the back, and offer all different other kinds of multimedia type art classes at our facility. We also manufacture glass beads for a wholesale company called Pandora bracelets. It's the same kind of same exact product, but yeah. So these are Italian glass rods that we use. Some of them are hand pulled, actually by the Italians, and there actually are machines that pull some of the glass, but some of the colors are hand mixed, so they're also hand pulled, and you can usually tell by the price of the glass. And you can also tell by, like, this is filigrana, and it usually pops more too when it's handmade. This is hand pulled glass. So, I'm just going to make a bead first. This is a mandrel, which is just a stainless steel rod. They're welding rods, and we use this to make the hole in our beads. You can make little glass figurines and pendants and ornaments and stuff like that, and you don't use mandrels for little figurines. You build off the end of a rod. So once it's heated up, you heat up your mandrel, it just slowly roll it away from here. And then, consistent spinning and consistent heat is what keeps the bead in the center, and it keeps it from getting out of shape. This is graphite. This is one of the tools we use. When you work with glass, you don't want to cool it down too quickly, and this kind of keeps the bead from cooling down too quick, and you're still able to make it any shape. But if you did this on like the tile or on a metal surface, it can shock the glass and cause it to break. So that's why we use graphite, and it's a lot smoother to use graphite too. And then we have these little mashers that kind of like tuck inside. We teach a 2-hour beginning bead making class. That's probably our most popular class right now. And it's just 2 hours, and people sit and make, pretty simple beads. But I have all sorts of like little, it looks like little like sprinkles almost, but it's like little broken up pieces of glass. People can roll it in, it makes polka dots. And you can make dots and lines, you can do all sorts of stuff. A lot of jewelry makers take the classes because then they can make, if they have a certain bead in mind for a project, they can make exactly what they need to and have a totally handmade custom piece. So right now I'm just putting dots on this bead. And you don't want the bottom layer to be too cool, but you don't also want it to be glowing either, because if you put glowing glass on a glowing base, it doesn't make a nice crisp dot. It's too It's super fun. We've been doing it for 12 years. We started out by selling on eBay, and it went really well on eBay. We found a really great customer, Camellia, and we've been making beads for them for about 7 years. And we still make beads for them.
So when you come to the class, what is the particular cost and time?
The 2-hour class is $50, and you don't have to, everything's included.
Okay.
And I almost always have one Friday Night Live. And on the weekends, sometimes I'll do like a 4-hour beginning class.
So a finished, just a small finished bead, what's generally the retail on that?
It depends, you know, our camellia beads that we sell are like $35 a piece. But we have a bunch of beads in our store for like $4, $3 a piece. And when we sold on eBay, our beads typically sold between $3 and $5, some more if it's like a focal bead. We sold on Etsy, I don't know, like maybe 3 years ago, and we did really well selling our product on there. And then, you know, we just did it during the slow time, and then orders picked back up, and then we stopped, you know. When camellia orders are good, we kind of stop everything and focus on that, because it's such a great opportunity for us that there's no sense in disappointing them.
Now, the one that you just made, where did you put that?
I just put it in here.
Oh, okay.
And we usually have these skillets on, and then so when it goes from, you know, you're not cooling it down too quick. So it goes in like a warm skillet for about 30 minutes, and then it goes into just a bucket full of, you know, the white stuff that's in potting soil?
Right.
Perlite?
Perlite, right.
We put perlite in our skillets, in our buckets, and that's like an insulated blanket for our beads. So it keeps them from heating up too quick or cooling down too quick.
Right.
Sorry, I'm really dyslexic.
That's okay. I was distracted by something. I didn't see where you put that. That is really cool.
And yeah, I love making beads. A lot of there's a lady that I saw at a recent art show that I went to that made these really cool flowers that were like, the flower is like, it looks like a flower from the whole side out, and she made like a squiggly like thick wire, and then she wire wrapped the flowers to that as it held it, and there were like these cool flowers all over it. So I mean, you know, the price of the beads all goes to how you market yourself, and you know, like you'll have like a style or a design in the market of who like there's a lady that I'm training. Instead of having upper level classes, I'm kind of doing like private lessons for the people that are, you know, continuing to learn. That way I can like address exactly what they want to do. She's making bracelets for plus size women because she has trouble finding watches or bracelets or anything that fit her. So that's what her market's going to be. And she's starting an Etsy store, and she's only taken like 3 classes, and she's really good already. If you rent a torch time or get it set up at home, because it's also a pretty easy thing to get set up at home. I mean, obviously, it's pretty easy to set up.
Now, what kind of gas are you running there?
We have an oxygen concentrator and a propane tank.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Hi. Do you guys want to watch me make it?
Oh, no, you're more welcome to sit.
Thanks. Start punishing.
Do you guys want to watch me make something in particular, or?
Whatever it is.
I don't know.
Like rods?
Yeah, these are all Italian glass rods. And then this is like our paint brushes, basically. We heat them up and we add. That's how we make the beads. This is.
Making glass beads?
Yeah, they make glass beads.
Well, thank you very much. I've got your flyer, so
Great.
I'll give you a call. My name's Pam.
Nice to meet you, Pam.
Okay, thank you.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Wonderful.
There's the home.
There's no, it's not. Like this doesn't get hot from being in the flame, and this doesn't get hot from being in the flame. Because this is stainless steel, it's not. And this is raku glass, which is pretty cool. It's pottery. There's a lot of raku pottery. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but it's a really cool technique where you dig a hole in the ground and you put already fired pottery that with this we put raw glaze on your pottery, and you put a big clump of newspapers underneath it, and you use blowtorch, and it oxidizes the glaze and makes it all metallic and look like an oil spill. So this glass is raku glass. We have some raku pottery in our gallery, but so this is kind of a cool color. It just looks brown. It doesn't look very interesting. But when you hit it on the graphite paddle, which is this is what we use to shape the glass. It's just like pencil lead, and it cools it a little bit, and it turns purples and greens, and just from the heat. So that's kind of a neat color. And then there's a bunch of other cool colors that I didn't bring any with me, that look like this, but when you put them in the flame, they're like bright yellow, like they strike different colors. So it's kind of like a surprise.
You're making a bead right now?
I'm just making a bead. The raw food is the base. And you can roll your bead in baking soda, and heat it up a little bit and put clear on top of it, and that's kind of cool too. It makes like little bubbles, like the science experiment you did when you were little with the volcano. It does the same thing inside glass. So I thought that was cool. I'm always trying to figure out neat little science experiments in my beads. I've tried to get bugs in my beads. Doesn't work.
Cook them.
Yeah, it's a retarded thing for me even to try. If you just think about it, it doesn't seem like it makes sense to even try it, but yeah, I thought it'd be so cool, to have like little bugs in the beads, but I think it'd be cool. I'm sure a lot of women would not want to put bugs around their neck.
Well, any button film.
But we actually did a little a little girl's birthday party. She was 8 the other day, and we did like an Italian theme, and it was really cute. We had them come in, and I made like a dolphin. I just had them ask what they wanted me to make, and I think I made a dolphin and like a little crown. And then the birthday girl actually made a bead, which was interesting. So that was really cool. And then they made bracelets, and then had a little cookout in our backyard. That was really fun. So we do like private parties as well for any age. I offered her like 3 different art projects. The one with the beads, and we did I offered her like a pumpkin painting one and a mosaic one. But I was glad she picked the glass bead one because that's like our specialty.
Did you put it in water or anything?
No, I put it in water, shatters. Usually this is just like fake. It's not plugged in or anything, but we usually have these turned on warm, and then inside our skillets we put perlite in it, which is like the white stuff in potting soil, and that makes like a little insulated blanket for the beads, and that way you're not cooling it down too quick. It's like when you pull a wine glass out of your dishwasher when it's just finished and you run it under cold water, it'll break. It's when you're working in glass, you just think of that mentality and just always want it to go as slow as possible. I'll make a pine cone.
So there's some kind of a sleeve on each one of those rods that white thing on the tip of your rod there.
Oh, this is bead relief. You dip it in it's kaolin, aluminum hydrate, and aluminum silicate mixed together, and it's the same thing as what potters use for their kiln wash, so that their pottery doesn't stick in the kiln. And if you made your bead directly on the metal, it would stick. Which is cool too, because I've made really neat kitchen knobs on the ends of screws, where I just rigged up a mandrel that I could screw in a screw, and I actually made it on the end of the screw, and they turned out pretty cool.
And so you have different diameter rods for the openings would be smaller.
Yeah, these are the mandrels we use for our production for the camellia beads that we make. You can get button ones that have 2 holes. You can get hollow mandrels, which are pretty cool. I should have brought those. Those are really cool. and you can like basically build up two ends. I'll just make a hollow bead. You guys
The
can see.
beads get Pandora bracelets that you're making?
And we sell camellia in our store as well, and there's like always a sale on our camellia, because I don't know if we're going to sell it off anymore, but we're thinking of
How do you put the
changing
metal
direction.
inserts in?
We have a machine.
The bead's cold?
Yeah, once the beads are all finished and annealed, after the beads are made, we put them in a kiln, slowly heat them up to about 965 degrees, and then we hold it there for about an hour, and then cool it down. It takes about overnight. Every night when we leave from work, we put all of our beads in the kiln, and then the next morning they're ready to come out. And that just, if you ever want to sell your pieces, you want to make sure that you anneal them, because they could crack in the future. And if you anneal them, it won't crack. It makes them last forever and ever. And we've been making beads for 12 years, and my first beads that I ever made look exactly the same. I'm going to make a shadow box for my first bead. I have me and my husband's first bead to make people in the class feel better, in the beginner class. But it's amazing, like, you know, some people pick it up like right away, and some people take a little longer, but I've taught everyone. I've taught probably over, just with the production, I've probably taught over 300 people just how to make the camellia type beads. We don't make as many beads as we used to for them, but I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, we were shipping like 80,000 beads a week, 40,000 beads a week. 80,000 was the most we ever did. It was insane.
So the hardest
I
thing,
wish we were still making that many.
the hardest thing to learn would be the right temperature to keep it, because
Yeah, you want to keep it warm. You want to constantly stay on top of keeping it warm.
but if it's too hot, it'll melt. Right?
Yeah, you don't want to have it so hot that it's like, it's not pliable. Like, if you work glass super hot, then it's always moving and you're chasing it around, and it just doesn't, it will never get to shape, and it moves really fast. So I'm making a hollow bead right now.
And you just keep building around it.
Yeah, what I'm doing is I'm just basically building it up and making 2 little cups that will meet, or 2 little bowls.
And also, the diameter of your raw stock is thicker than the actual piece that you're putting it on there. So
Yeah, I can have it go on just as thick as the rod if I go slow,
the speed.
but I pull it, at the speed at which and also when you attach it, when you start painting it, I just dot it so it doesn't go down very wide. That first dot that you do is like the foundation that it kind of works off of. But it's super fun. I love it.
How many years have you been doing it?
12 years.
Wow.
I started when I worked at a daycare, so I didn't do it full time for the first year. But I got really sweet babysitting jobs at the daycare, so I was able to quit, babysit, and start selling my beads online. And then about a year after I started selling my beads online, I was able to focus 100% on just beads. Example on the sheet.
So all the years you've worked with it, have you ever had any serious injuries or accidents or anything?
Yes. Last year, I was actually pregnant. I didn't know I was pregnant then, but I was at the glass blowing studio downtown, and there's it's like a trash can with a big, huge flame in it, and propane comes out of a tube like that big, and when I was lighting it, it didn't light, and I was being stupid, and I had the torch in my hand, and I looked in the hole, and it like totally exploded. I lost all my eyebrows, all my eyelashes, like I lost like this much hair. Nice. That's fine. It didn't hurt, it just scared me and I lost a lot of hair. I didn't think my eyelashes were gonna come back. But those were the first two come back. We had a girl light her hair on fire the other day, because she wasn't being careful. And I put it out instantly, I was right next to her. We had another girl, we have only had two hair catch on fire. And usually have people pull their hair back.
But also, you won't be able to do this for 8 hours without having to take some kind of breaks, right? Isn't it kind of hard on the...
I mean, depends on the person, but when you sit down and start doing this, time kind of gets away from you. I mean, you'll be sitting down and 6 hours will be, because you're so focused on what you're doing. Some people need a lot of breaks, and you need to be careful sitting a long time, because, I mean, believe it or not, you actually hurt yourself worse sitting than walking around. But, you know, I typically never work more than 4 hours before I take a break. When I worked at home, it was wonderful. I mean, I'd make beats for 4 hours and take a break and get some errands done and do some yard work, and I loved working at home.
Won't we all?
I don't work at home anymore.
You have to have special lens on your glasses, but
Yeah, these are titanium lenses, and you see how there's flame around the piece I'm working on? It disappears when you have these glasses on, so I can actually see right through it, yeah.
Other people are going to, holy cow, to the 5 o'clock to watch the parade. The drum band. And then when no, the 5 o'clock. It's so far until 5. Yeah. Well, even if you off from 4 and the parade starts at 4, but I mean, they'll be partying all night. Yeah, really. Where's it gonna go, really?